The irony hit me harder than the bullet lodged in my side. I spent years patching up soldiers on the front lines, yet I couldn't stitch together the one heart I needed most, yours. And now, as I lay bleeding into the dirt of a nameless battlefield, the only face I could see was the one that had chosen another man. The air reeked of smoke, metal, and death. My hands trembled not from fear, but from exhaustion. For months, I had worked through nights without end, pressing gauze into wounds, sawing through bone, whispering half-promises to boys younger than 20 that they'd live to see home. I'd been their last prayer, their final comfort. And yet, when it came to me, I had no one. Not really. Not in the way I needed. You weren't supposed to haunt me here. You weren't supposed to follow me into this wasteland of fire and ruin. But your face, the way you smiled when we were both young, the way your hand had once lingered on mine under the library table when no one was looking, kept cutting through the haze of gunfire. And then came the image I couldn't banish, your wedding day. The picture had reached me through the careless hands of a nurse passing letters. You standing tall, looking devastatingly handsome, while a woman clung to your arm. I had torn that photograph the moment it touched my skin, but it was too late. The damage had been done. I was a fool to believe war could distract me from you. The men around me screamed. Somewhere a shell exploded, shaking the ground like the earth itself was in mourning. My blood soaked deeper into the soil. I should have been afraid. Instead, I thought of you, the boy who used to walk me home when the world was gentler, who promised in hushed whispers that love like ours could survive anything. Anything except your fear. You were terrified of being found out. Terrified of your family, your church, your community. I never blamed you for it, not really. But when you said you couldn't stay, when you told me you needed a future that looked normal, I thought the world had ended. I thought my heart had ended. Yet here I was, still breathing. And I hated myself for it. Doctor, stay with us? A soldier shouted, shaking my shoulder. His young eyes widened at the sight of the crimson pooling under me. But I couldn't stay with them. My mind had already left the battlefield, wandering back to the porch swing where you first kissed me, to the quiet night when you whispered my name like it was a prayer. And then through the blur, through the ringing in my ears, I saw something impossible. A figure rushing toward me, stumbling over the uneven dirt. Not a medic, not a soldier. You. At first, I thought it was a hallucination brought on by blood loss. Your suit was dusty, the knees of your pants torn, your hands trembling as you shoved past the chaos, ignoring the shouts, ignoring the danger. You fell to your knees beside me. God, no, not like this. Not you. My chest tightened. The sound of your voice ripped me open more than the shrapnel in my side. You were real. Somehow impossibly real. Why? Why are you here? My words rasped, barely audible over the noise. Your eyes, those same eyes that once stole my sleep with their softness filled with tears. You grabbed my hand with both of yours, clutching it as though you could tether me back to life. I couldn't stay away. You whispered, your voice cracking. I thought marrying her would silence what I felt, make me normal. But it didn't. It only killed me slower. And now I see you like this, God. I can't lose you. Not like this. The weight of your confession crashed into me, heavier than any burden I had carried in this war. My lips trembled. You already left me. I know, you said quickly, desperately, as though time itself were running out. I know, and I was wrong. I thought I was protecting myself. But all I did was destroy us both. The battlefield faded into a hum. My vision blurred, but I felt the warmth of your hands pressed against my cold skin. You were shaking. For the first time in years, I saw you stripped of every mask, every lie you'd wrapped yourself in. I love you, you said, the words breaking apart like they had been caged too long. I never stopped. Not for a single damn day. The cruelest part was that I believed you. Even as anger and grief twisted inside me, even as the pain gnawed through my body, I knew you were telling me the truth. But truth came too late. A laugh, bitter and broken, slipped from my lips. You married her. You winced as if the words themselves were bullets. Yes, and it was the worst mistake of my life. I wake up every day suffocating in regret. But none of it compares to this. To watching you slip away. You lowered your forehead to my hand, your tears burning against my skin. And in that moment, something in me cracked, not from the wound in my side, but from the love I had tried to bury beneath bandages, beneath duty, beneath the ashes of war. Because despite everything, despite the betrayal, I still loved you. And that was the most devastating truth of all. Your hand refused to let go of mine, though I felt my strength slipping with each ragged breath. The gunfire was distant now, muffled by the rushing in my ears. I thought of all the words I had wanted to say to you once, words I buried beneath anger and silence. But in the face of death, what good was pride? You don't get to do this, you choked, shaking me as though sheer will could anchor me here. You don't get to die on me. Not before I make this right. I tried to speak, but a cough racked through me, blood staining my lips. You panicked, tearing strips of fabric from your shirt to press against my wound. The sight made something inside me ache, your desperation, your trembling hands, the sheer futility of it all. You shouldn't be here, I rasped. This isn't your world. I don't care, you said, voice fierce. You're my world. You always were. And I was too much of a coward to admit it when it mattered. But I swear, if you hold on, I'll spend every day proving it. I'll leave her. I'll burn it all down if I have to. I'll choose you. Just stay. Your words pierced me more deeply than any shard of metal could. Part of me wanted to scream, to push you away, to punish you with silence. But another part, the part that still craved your touch, your laugh, your love, it wanted to believe. And then came the miracle I hadn't expected. The medics arrived. They shoved you aside, shouting orders, lifting me onto a stretcher. You fought them at first, yelling that you had to come, but they restrained you. I remember only fragments after that. The blur of the tent, the sting of morphine, the endless dark. When I woke, weeks had passed. The war had spat me back out, scarred but alive. And you were there sitting in a chair beside my hospital bed, eyes hollow from sleepless nights, a wedding ring still on your hand, but your gaze fixed on me as though I was the only thing that mattered. You stayed, I whispered, voice hoarse. Your lips trembled. I told you, I'm not leaving again. The days that followed were quieter. The war still raged outside, but in that sterile ward, time slowed. You read to me when I couldn't sleep. You laughed softly, carefully, like you were afraid joy might shatter. You confessed things you had never said aloud. How you thought of me on your wedding night. How every kiss with her felt like betrayal. How every letter you didn't send to me carved deeper into your guilt. I listened. Sometimes I turned away, bitterness flaring, but more often than not, I let your words settle in me like medicine, painful, but healing. It wasn't easy. Forgiveness never is. But love, real love, has a way of breaking down walls even pride builds too high. One morning, the light spilled through the window, golden and warm. You sat beside me, holding my hand in both of yours. Your ring gleamed. My eyes lingered on it, and you followed my gaze. Quietly, deliberately, you slipped it off. The sound it made clinking onto the bedside table was small, almost nothing. But to me, it was thunder. I'm done hiding, you said. Done pretending. If you'll have me, I'll fight for us this time, no matter what it costs. Tears burned in my eyes, not from weakness, but from the unbearable weight of hope. I thought of the years we lost, the lies, the silence. And yet, staring at you, I knew this wasn't the end of us. It was the beginning. I tightened my hand around yours, frail but certain. Then fight with me. We'll build something new, something real. Your smile was broken and radiant all at once. You leaned close, your forehead resting against mine, breath shaky with relief. And for the first time since that bullet tore into me, I felt alive. Months later, when I returned home, the war behind me but scars still aching, you were waiting. Not in shadows, not in secrecy, but in the open. You had walked away from the life that caged you. People whispered. Families disapproved. But you didn't flinch. You stood beside me, hand in mine, unashamed. And though the world remained cruel, though the nights sometimes dragged with memory and pain, I never again doubted where I belonged. Not on the battlefield, not in the hospital, not in the silence of regret, but here with you, the man who once broke me and then chose to piece me back together. And in that choice, we finally found peace. Thank you for listening. Don't forget to like and subscribe to stay updated with the latest videos.